Welcome, everyone. Today with us, we have Indu Lakshmi. She's a filmmaker and writer from the Malayalam film industry. She's here with us to share the Me Too incident that she went through. And Indu, kudos to you and the women coming friend and speaking with full courage. And welcome to India Today SoSouth.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So tell us, what is the incident that triggered you? When did this happen? And whom are you talking about?
Okay, I'm one of the directors chosen for doing a government project. It was funded by the movie fund. Movie was called as the initiative was called as Women Program, Women Cinema Initiative. It is funded by the government of Kerala, and Kerala State Film Development Corporation was in charge of mentoring and funding this program. So for me and for the other directors who were chosen as part of this program, one of the major problems which we had was because we are doing it for the first time. KSFDC, which is a Kerala State Film Development Corporation, was giving us a hell of a time, making deliberate delays, insulting us, smirking us, making very direct statements that we are not capable of doing it, and that we have to show gratitude to a certain set of people there. And whenever we had an opinion,
Women filmmakers. Women
yeah, it
filmmakers are
was.
not capable enough.
Yes, women filmmakers are not capable enough. Women are not capable enough. And there were many. I mean, it was very surprising for me because the chairman of KSFTC is Shaji N Karun. He's a well-known filmmaker and cinematographer who is, he had even in Cannes, his movie had
And he's the director of
awards.
Vanaprastham Swaham, such brilliant films. He's the director.
Yes, as one of the prominent filmmakers in Kerala, nationally and internationally known. So it's very surprising. I mean, he's a well-respected person, and for me also. I mean, when we go there for the first time, I was really looking forward to meeting him and talking to him and all that. But it was very surprising to me that the kind of attitude which he had and his team had. So in case of DC, there was a team who was supposed to facilitate the production of Nila and the rest of the movies.
Okay.
So they kind of treated us like it's not going to happen easily. So it was like a
Nila
brutal.
is her debut directorial movie. It's a brilliant movie. Watch it out. It talks about a very unusual friendship story, I believe. Yeah.
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 So right from the beginning, this kind of an insulting insult was there from the side of film officer. He was in charge of facilitating the rest of the things. So it started right from the one of the first discussions where I suggested Shanti Krishna. She's a very senior actor in Malayalam. To do the prominent role because this character was completely performance oriented. So I didn't want to experiment with somebody who's not very comfortable with acting. So the film officer kept pushing that, okay, I mean, why do you want Shanti Krishna? I said, like, why not? And he was in an open meeting, he was insulting Shanti Krishna, saying, like, oh, as if she's going to act, as if she's going to do the performance. And I said, I was really, kind of surprised with the kind attitude. And I said, why not? Because she's a state award winning actor. And it was a joke for them, the kind of laughter which you can see in the response of many people when they're talking about Hema committee report, that same kind of, laughter and smirk which they had, as if it's like it's something, it's a joke. So Shanti Krishna, I spoke to her and she was convinced with the role and she agreed to do it for a very, very small remuneration. And still, they kept, I mean, KSFDC kept pushing me, precisely this film officer kept telling, like, why do you need Shanti Krishna? He didn't want a senior actor to do it. And many of the people who associated with my project were very senior actors. Vineet sir, he's a very senior actor. Yes. Mamukoya. And it was, I mean, I didn't have to, it was not difficult for me to get them either because I spoke to them, I shared the script. and they were convinced with the roles. And because it was a case of DC government project, they were ready to do it for a very small remuneration. And even the technicians, I didn't have much difficulty in that aspect. But again, like, these people were kind of pushing me down, saying like, we don't need that, you don't need this. And definitely the budget constraints were there, budget was cut down. But for a movie like Nila, budget was never an issue. People who have watched it will understand that it is a story that that happens in one room, and we had only two major locations, and even the costumes were very limited. Costumes, we didn't have much of we didn't require much of funds there. So as for the funds, my movie was safe, I would say. But they kept saying about the budget constraints, and they kind of made the very basic things not available to us because of the budget constraints, as per what the line producer was saying. So the structure is like this. We were chosen, the script was chosen, and we were chosen to do the movie. And we had the freedom to decide who was going to act and who was going to work as the technicians. The funding is 1.5 crores, which is allocated to each of the projects. And this money distribution will be taken care of by a line producer who is appointed by the KSFDC. So it was done by, for me, there was no evaluation. I wanted to say there is no evaluation, or there is no screening for the line producer. It was like handpicked, and one guy is assigned. And from the beginning, we understood that there has been some kind of a corruption that's happening with the fund. Because I mean, we all have a background, professional background. I have about 10 years of corporate experience, and we have met people. We know the body language. We know when people are lying. We know how they are playing. It's I mean, for my age, it's very easy for me to understand. And even for my team, it was very obvious that there is some kind of a background activity that is happening. And we informed the case of DC film officer that we have certain suspicions, and to cross check the bills. And again, I received the same kind of a laughter, saying like, because it means like you don't know what you're talking about. It's your inexperience. So then again, it's during the post production of Nila that really they started giving me trouble, because right from the beginning, the film officer, he kept telling that I will not be able to pull off this project. It's going to be difficult.
Why?
And because I don't have a film school background. I am from Infosys. I mean, I worked in Infosys before joining, but I am a writer. I have been writing from the time I can remember. But those things are not qualifications. So he was saying like, I will be there to help you, is what he said, the film officer. And I did not have to, yeah, I did not need his guidance. I did not need his assistance to make a decision about a story which I have written. And he kept mocking me for that, with some very derogatory statements, because my cinematographer and editor, they are young boys. They're 10 years younger to me. So he was kind of mocking me in those terms, saying like, you and your boys, is what he exactly used the words. Cinema is not like how you and your boys think about. And these kind of, I mean, this is before the shooting. And I found it very strange, because those kind of remarks nobody has ever made to me. And the shooting went well. I had no confusions. And these senior actors, in spite of their experience, they went to the KSFDC office, met Shaji N Karun, and shared like how happy they are with the roles, and how happy about how I handled the team and how disciplined the team it was. They gave a feedback on the last day of the shoot. And this kind of probably irked the film officer, because I saw that he was sitting there silent and disappointed, because he was waiting to hear some kind of bad stories about how the movie was made. So the actors were very happy. And after the shooting, when the dubbing was supposed to begin, from there, the film officer interfered, and he was giving all sorts of problems, delaying, canceling the bookings of the studio we had previously booked. And the excuse which the film officer said was, I did not personally go and invite him, did not personally go and tell him that the dubbing is going to start. I had sent a mail actually. So it's not a marriage invitation where you have to give a card that, okay, my dubbing is going to begin. And so from there, he has been delaying, he has been giving us so many problems, which I wanted to escalate to Shaji N Karun, and hoping that he, being a very senior filmmaker, would understand that. But to me, it was very surprising that Shaji and Karun kept pushing this matter out, saying as if like these are the mandatory steps which we should go. These are the mandatory traumas which a filmmaker should go through to complete the movie. And he was saying about how the things were unfavorable in 70s and 80s. And it was as if like none of them were willing to listen to us, as if we did not exist, as if we were talking in some other language which didn't make any sense to them. We had to repeatedly go there, wait, hear all their, in some of the incidents where we had to receive, we had to go through very bad experiences, being shouted at openly in front of all the staff in case of DC. And it was not easy for me because one thing, I'm not a person who uh, believes working in a creative field demands going through these kind of bad languages and bad experiences, being shouted at. In my set, I have never had to shout at anybody because in the corporate, as you would know, we don't believe in blaming each other. It's more of like a teamwork where you embrace your team and get the work done. And definitely, there are a couple of people who are not used to this kind of good, smooth way of working. And surprisingly, these there were two women, in fact, in the team who gave me trouble and who kind of teamed up with the case of DC film officer and some of the members there, and they really wanted, to give worsen the worse, make the things really worse for me. Those things did happen, but what I was trying to tell you is. They tried their best and the movie came out, and it was not easy for me. I had to
They
go
meaning
through a
the
lot
whole
of trauma,
crew,
which
the cast, everyone.
sorry.
The you meant they like the cast, crew, everyone cooperated well?
No,
No, the women.
yeah,
Fine.
the cast, a majority of the crew, light boys, everybody cooperated, except for the two women. Unfortunately, it's very unfortunate because it's always they pick women against women, because then you are silenced. So I didn't know what to say because until the shoot was over, things were so good. It
So
went
smooth.
so well, and I didn't have a proof to go back and tell that things were okay, because we normally don't think that okay, these women are going to backstab. So it was very surprising for me, and I had to kind of send many mails back and forth to
To the
explain
chairperson.
very small things.
Hmm.
Yeah, sorry.
To the chairperson.
To the chairperson and to the managing director of KSFDC.
Yes, it is.
A couple of very bad meetings, and a lot of trauma, which I really don't want to think about it because I'll start shaking if I talk about it, because those experiences were extremely bad for me. But in spite of all that, I completed the movie, and the movie was premiered on March 8th on a Women's Day, uh, and after the movie was screened for the first time, and the screening was attended by Vineet sir and Shanti Krishna and all the rest of the crew members. And the media was also invited. And I received a lot of good feedback. And Shanti Krishna was really moved. And I mean, everybody were praising Shanti Krishna for the performance. And I think this nobody liked this aspect that the movie came out well, or in spite of all the struggle, the movie has got completed in the way it is supposed to be. So they were expecting some kind of a half-boiled movie, which it was very disappointing for them probably, because from the next day onwards, they were giving me a hell lot of problems for the
After
silliest
the
of
movie
reasons.
getting screened.
After the movie was screened for the first time, instead of you know accepting the fact that the movie came out well, it was a very bad experience for me. From then, it was the two women in the crew again. Uh, I don't know what happened exactly. These women, they happened to be a friend of the film officer too. So I didn't know that before inviting them to the movie. So they teamed up and they were making up a lot of stories which were very strange to me and to the rest of my crew, and even to the actors. It was very surprising that the women were complaining against me. So they were asking for additional credits in the movie for which they have not done, and KSFDC was pushing me for that, to give credit for assistant director role. I think it's like this: you have experience in the direction team, probably like they can join another movie saying that they have worked as a assistant director in so and so movie, and they might get another opportunity in the direction team, probably that. I don't know what the agenda is, but they kept asking me for the role of the title, the credit for AD. And see, the kind of direction team which I had, they were all underpaid, and they have all worked so much, and many of them were not even paid. And this particular person, the particular girl who was asking for extra credit, she worked in that some XY department. I don't want to talk about it because it's going to be anyways, it's a struggle for women. I don't want to name and make things worse for anybody. So this girl had worked in one particular department, and at that time she was pregnant, and she got to know that she's pregnant only after the shoot has started. And I didn't want to uh, tell a woman that, okay, you're pregnant, don't work. That's not the way it works. So what we did was, we as a team collectively supported her, because during the first trimester she does have vomiting and nausea, all those things, issues are there. So there are many times when she needed rest, including Shanti Krishna made sure that this girl is comfortable. And as you know, we didn't have much of location change or anything, so we had a room where Shanti Krishna was resting, in the flat portion of the movie, in the place where Shanti Krishna was moved second time later, right? So we had a room where she could rest, and all that was ensured. And there was no proof I could go back and tell that this is how it was happening. We don't record all these things, right? So it was difficult for me, and to put it short, like, it was a long battle for me to make the to convince them, I would say. And again, surprisingly, Shaji N Karun, he kept a stand which was very, very surprising for me. Like, he was not willing to listen. He is a chairman of KSFDC who was supposed to listen to the concerns. He kept a very cold face, saying like, this is how things are. You cannot do this. And for some reason, he was backing the two women who complained. So it was like a tool. It was a very, very planned tool against me, to silence me, because I didn't want to talk against women. So it was a very confusing stage for me. And I kept writing to them. I kept asking KSFDC for support, saying like, these many things have happened. I've got proof with me. I have got whatever evidence. My teammates were willing to talk about it. But they were not willing to listen. They kept pushing, and they kept delaying the poster release and things of the movie, just because of this reason, that this girl needed additional credit in the movie. And and it went on and on. And after many attempts to meet the chairman, he agreed. And just like, and that's where the current affairs are probably getting relevant, because the government is talking about a conclave where both the parties, the offenders and who complained, would be brought together in under one umbrella, and discussions. So whatever complaints I had raised, Shaji N Karun, what he did is, he invited for a meeting. And at that time, it was the height of what I could take as an individual. The movie was completed, and the kind of things that were happening was kind of so disturbing that I could not meet anybody. I was living separately in a house because I could not meet anyone. I was living, um, I could not sleep, or I could not eat, and I was in that kind of a situation. And he called for the meeting, and I was reluctant to go. I said, from the past experiences, I don't want to go through the trauma again. But he insisted, like the chairman insisted, that I have to come no matter what. There is no, and I said, is it 1-to-1? He said no. He didn't give me the details of it, but I was not okay to go there alone. So I took an advocate with me as a witness, because I didn't know, I didn't know what to expect. So the advocate was taken there, but he was forcibly taken out of the room of the chairman. He was pushed out literally, saying no, nobody else other than the concerned people should be there. And it was like, I've written about it. It was like, uh, this Panjali Vastrakshepam, where a group of men and women were also there. They were shaming me, they were insulting me, they were questioning me for raising the concerns. And it was a meeting of about 1.5 hours, when they tried their best to make me cry or to make me angry. They were provoking me. They were, uh, I don't know, it is a 1.5 hours, which I don't even want to look back, because it was so bad an experience for me. And it was headed by the chairman, Shaji N Karun. And it was very surprising to me about how insensitive he spoke about the major issues which are pointed out in the Hema committee report now. Because I had talked about the toilet issue, I had talked about the safety. He said, and even about the food, actually, some of the people in the movies got food poisoning because of the bad food that was given. And the toilet issue, it was a joke in that meeting. They laughed at it. See, we need toilet every day, right? It's not like, okay, like 2 or 3 days the toilet is not provided. It is okay. It's a basic human requirement. And even, I mean, it was a movie where even the senior actors were participating, and the toilet which they gave was broken, so it was not, we could not use it. And we had a problem. And the only thing was like, my house was nearby, so I could manage it somehow in that way. But it was difficult. Toilet is a basic requirement. You need it every day. It is not that you give it for 2 days and then the rest of the days it's not there. It's still okay. So Shaji and Karun was saying that in the 80s, women had to use toilet in open spaces, behind trees. Uh, and he was making it sound like, I am unaware of what is happening. I am unaware of cinema. It is my lack of knowledge of cinema which is making me do this, which is making me request for toilet, at least in the next lined up projects. And I mean, it was a joke for them, and they were using very deliberate, very derogatory terms, which was questioning my integrity as a woman, and the dignity of a life which I have lived so far. And the film officer was saying, because I was calm, I did not show the turmoil that was happening inside me in spite of all that is going on, because I knew exactly that women are expected to cry in such situations. Women are supposed to cry. I mean, tears is something which is so synonymous with woman. And they were pushing me further. I did not cry. I was breaking inside me. I was shattering. I was dying inside me, but I did not cry. And the film officer said, see, the body language of you is not that of a director. It is that of a software professional. See, a lot of men use bad language in the set. A lot of men use, there are certain very famous words which the directors use, even over the mic. They say, Eda dash. I don't use it because it's not part of my culture. I'm not used to it. And I don't, I mean, they wouldn't probably dare to talk like that to a man, for sure, because it would probably get physical. We're not used to punching them. I mean, we don't get provoked and get up and catch their collar. We don't do that. It's part of our probably upbringing, the culture that we are used to. So after this meeting, like how the conclave, the government is going to decide, It was so devastating for me that I needed like about 2 months to recover from that shock. For the first time in my life, I had to take medical help. Um, and I can tell you that even today, I'm not completely recovered from that insult. And I would say that every time when we talk about harassment, it's always a sexual harassment which people talk about. And it is not a sexual harassment alone, I want to say. Because without touching you, without derobing you, you can get that feeling of insult on your skin. Because when I was walking out of the room, it was burning upon me. It was burning upon my skin, that insult, and feeling so bad for being a woman for the first time in my life because I was so helpless. And there were women in power, in authority, in my case, in the case of Nila, the managing director. I don't want to name her again because I'm giving her I don't want to name her, but she's an IFS officer. um, she kept telling me that being a woman, you're supposed to be the good girl. When men shout at me, because when the film officer shouted at me, when he insulted me in front of all the staff, I went and complained to her. She said, it happens because we are women. When men shout at us, you're supposed to take it. But why should I? I asked her why should I came here for doing the movie. I have not done anything wrong. I was doing my work, and why should I be okay with just with him or any other men shouting at me? So she said, see, the minister shouts at me. I'm okay with that. I'm okay if men shouts at me. So and I mean, it was not okay for
IPS
me.
officer.
Yeah, she's an IFS officer. So uh, it was like it was a very combined effort by all of them to make sure that things are difficult. And then I went to the minister. I gave a complaint to the minister. They kept promising that things would be taken care of. So as an impact of me complaining and me speaking up, release of Nela was deferred indefinitely for the silliest reason. But I kept writing to the minister, and the release of Nila was because every time when I talk about this experience, I shake. I mean, I get so cold. My hands get so cold, and it's very difficult for me to speak because it was so much of a difficulty, and it's not easy for me to let go of it. Uh, so I gave a complaint to the minister, and because of upon that, the release of Nila was facilitated. But they did every single thing they could do to ensure that the marketing and promotion of Nila was not done properly. I think we had hardly 7 days for the entire promotion, and all the materials like trailer, teaser, songs, they were like released one after the other, as of like bullets firing from a gun. We had to fire with, we didn't have any strategy. We could not make sure it was reaching the right people. And I had to speak up about the issue in the media, which kind of triggered them even more. And Nila was taken out from theaters after 2 weeks from KSFDC theaters. And it was very strange because Nila had audience. And I mean, in one way, it's good because it's not like, there were no people and there was no audience and the movie had to be taken. Even on the last day of show, there was about 50 people, and it was consistently there. And it was such a happiness to see women going to theaters. And me and my DOP, Rakesh, we used to go visit Calaban Theatre every day. Discreetly, we used to watch people standing out. And there were very old women, uh, with even walking stick, waiting outside. And it was such a good, feeling for us because it was connecting with people. But the movie was taken out from theaters. And I asked at least for one show in Kalaburn because we had audience in Kozhikode. and in Trivandrum. Kozhikode, Kairali Sri also had a pretty much consistent number of people coming in every day. In Calaburn also we had the same thing, but it was taken out. And Nila did not go to any festivals. And it was like fooling me because uh, I was told that Nila was submitted for certain festivals, but I got to know through very reliable sources um, from the jury of some of the festivals that they did not see Nila. Nila could not even compete in any of the festivals. And I literally begged them because, you know, I mean, the requesting was happening even much before the release. I said, don't do this to the movie, please. I mean, let the chairman decide, because he has exposure to the international festival. So let him decide. But I mean, it was very brutally not submitted. But Nila is a closed chapter. It is over. I don't want to, get stuck to it. I'm moving on with my other things and other projects. I'm not, but uh, it was a result of me speaking up, me not being submissive, me not being silent about it. And those who remained silent was compensated well. And it was again, I mean, I don't want to go to the details of it, but um, people whom we thought were with us had other intentions, and they had games in the background, which we realized much later. But again, it is all a realization, it's all a lesson which I'm sure that FTI or SRFTI will not be able to teach. So although I do not have a film direction degree from any of the film schools, going through Nila has kind of equipped me to understand how the whole thing goes in the industry. So yeah, and when I was reading the Hema committee report, there are certain wounds and blisters which we hide deep inside, and we kind of move on, right? So Nila gave me a lot of such blisters, which I deliberately wanted to come out of it and forget it and let go of it. But when I was reading through the Hema committee report, I understood that these issues which I went through were all in the industry, and it was all normalized. And Shaji N Karun kept normalizing it. And being a person who is from the past, probably he strongly believes that women should be treated as secondary people, and women are incapable of doing anything good, because the way he talks about women, accomplished women, I would say, is with a smirk and with so much of contempt in his voice, like that kind of a way. And the kind of contempt he had consistently right from the beginning towards WCC, as if it's a bunch of women, who were so directionless and so incapable, and it was not even done discreetly. It was done very openly and very directly. And he kept asking me for gratitude, and he was pointing to the production people, the people who were doing the corruption, I would say, in short, and the film officer and a couple of men who were using very derogatory language to me throughout the journey. Shaji N Karun was in the chair asking me to show gratitude to them, and I really still don't understand how to show that gratitude. And in the eyes of them, women are, I would also want to tell you that whenever
Yeah,
I'm
we
really
talk
sorry,
about.
because when I start talking about it, I get
No, it's
really,
okay. It's completely fine, Indu, because it's all
yeah,
about opening up, and there is no need to hide anymore. There is no need for
yeah,
just speak it out, because it has to be out at some time, and
yeah, yeah,
right, yeah, it's on time. So
yeah.
please do, please
And
go for it. By mentioning about the full list.
yeah,
joining Kudumbasri.
Yeah, Kudumbasri. I was talking about the Kudumbasri. So every time the promotion of Nila and the rest of the women's cinema were discussed, chairman used to tell us that it needs to be done in association with Kudumbasri. And he is also the chairman of the Film Society group in Kerala. He has never mentioned about the Film Society. I mean, that was actually an opportunity. I mean, it has an audience, Film Society groups in Kerala. There are a lot of very passionate cinema lovers in Kerala, and in different, you might be aware of it. There are different film societies here, and he is the chairman of it. But he never mentioned about the collaboration with the film societies. But he kept telling us it is a Kudumbasri, and in one of the Kudumbasri's meeting, he actually sent us also, me and Mini IG. We were sent to the Kudumbasri meeting. Say, Nela, I don't know how many of um, people from Kudumbasri will be able to appreciate or understand Nila, because they asked us was that we should do serial, is what they told us, and we cannot blame them, because after a day's really hard work, they don't want to watch Nila, and they don't want to watch any serious movies. They want to watch serials, and we understood that that's not the audience for us. But um, it was always the Kudumbasri connection every time we talked about the promotion of any of the women's cinema. So it is not that when a woman is making a cinema, it has to be like serials. It has to be melodramatic, kind of catering to one particular kind of audience. Why is it that uh, a, woman's cinema? Why is it not treated as a without the lens of a feministic, or I mean, I don't think Nila has any feministic take, or it doesn't. I don't even think that um, it was talking about any loud politics about women, because I don't believe in, because in my journey so far, I mean, nobody gave me the kind of discount as a woman, because we had to write the same exams, we had to face the same competitive interviews, we had to do the same things as any other man, uh, for our academic excellence, or for our professional excellence, for anything. I mean, I was not, or anybody I know was given any discount for being a woman. So why should we feel secondary? I don't understand. Uh,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
again, yeah. So this was, again, I mean, none of our professional background, or what we have studied, was even taken into consideration, because we were treated as if like we were illiterate women who was waiting for the gratitude of these people. I mean, the kind of the favor of these people to to find a voice of our own. And it was a very difficult chapter, and every time I talk about it, I get really weak, and my hands go cold, and all that happens. So it has been a long while I talked about it. So when I was going through the Hema committee report, it was the same emotion that resurfaced, because I understood that it's the same thing, and people are talking only about the sexual harassment part. And I think it has even become an entertainment for people to listen to women speak up, and to uh, post all sorts of nonsense comments under that, blaming the women, and blaming the men, and it has become an entertainment now, is what I feel after the Hema committee. It's for the general public, it's become kind of an entertainment. But there are very serious other issues which the Hema committee report talks about, and which I think is not discussed much, and it needs to be talked about. It's about the toilet issue, definitely, and the and the different flavors of gender discrimination which we have in the industry, which I have been through, and something which I know personally. Uh, uh, about the constant belief that women cannot perform, women cannot be good storytellers. It's always there. It is there even for the senior filmmakers in the industry. And I remember that during the time of Muton, which has got so many awards and recognitions and festivals, people are just not willing to accept the fact that a woman, uh, Geetu Mohandas, could make such a movie. So people were kind of consoling themselves, saying like, okay, it could be with the support of so and so. It could be because why can't she do it herself? Why is it that when a woman does something great, why should every time why should it be like why should the credit be given to another man? I don't understand. If I mean, is it that only
This was said by the
supposed to
people
make
in the KSDZ or people in general?
in general by very prominent filmmakers, because at that time I've seen the quotes. At that time Nila was not done. I was not exposed to these things, but I was very surprised about how very famous filmmakers even commented about it, and even Geetu Mohandas had spoken about it in one of the interviews, the same thing. So it's always like this, like if a woman cannot make anything intellectual or intelligently, she cannot do anything, is the common belief, I think. And every time I went to KSFDC, to Shaji N Karun with any opinion or any difficulties that I'm facing and any help that I needed from him, he says, you go get 4 awards and you come back. I might listen to you. Until then, you are in the starting point. You are absolutely nothing. You have absolutely no right to ask. And then he would take a lecture about how the difficulties in 70s were and all that, which makes no sense, which doesn't help the situation at all. Yeah, and so I strongly believe, like and I was coming to that. I gave the complaint to the minister, and the minister, what he told us, like he reassured that an investigation will be done regarding the funds and the other things which I had mentioned, and a report would be published in a month or two, and a copy would be shared with me. But nothing happened. I went back. I followed up multiple times, went to the secretariat, spoke to the concerned people. Nothing came out, and I was told repeatedly that Shaji N Karun is a great filmmaker, and we cannot go against his decisions. Is what I got to know. So every time when we raise an opinion or
And
concern,
this was said by a government official.
yes, government official from the minister's office, I was told that he is a great person. He is a prominent filmmaker. And from the secretariat also, from the cultural department also, I heard. So he is a great filmmaker. So the tone varies, but the same,
So a
the
great
content is the same.
filmmaker can't
He
go
is a
wrong.
great filmmaker, so we cannot go in.
That's what they're telling.
Can't go wrong. He knows everything about. Yes, that's what they kept telling me. So my hope in the system also kept diminishing, and eventually I thought like that's not the purpose of my life, so I had to let it go. And I mean, those evidences are there, the mails which I've sent, all the digital proofs which I've shared with them, all those things are there in my mailbox as well as in their mailbox, because many of the things I've shared in email. And so that's again the point. Every time a woman has a concern, that's what they say about the professional excellence. So professional excellence is definitely not a license for a man to do anything, for a man to say anything, and he cannot be unconditionally correct just because he's a great filmmaker. And nobody is saying that he's a bad filmmaker, and we are not questioning any of the work which he has done. And I do agree the fact that Ravi and Vanaprastham are great movies, and more than the movies which he has done as a director, I love the movies which he has done camera for. It's brilliant work, I should say, but that doesn't give him the right to kind of misuse the power
Absolutely.
which he has. So because he is a Pragalbhanaya Samvidayakan, that is like a prominent director, he's again endorsed with more and more positions and powers. And I also got to know very unofficially, I'm not really sure about if it's true or not, that in the conclave which the government is planning for now, Shaji N Karun would be the chairman of it. So I have not seen a less human, like I wouldn't even say that he's against just women. I have not seen anybody who is more self-centered, selfish, and chauvinistic, definitely, as him. In my entire life, of all the interactions which I have heard, heard of or been directly interacted with, I have not seen a worse human being than him. And it is very difficult for me to unsee it because I have been through it and I've seen all the shades of his villainy and crookedness. And many people have warned me how dangerous a person he is. And he's a very soft spoken person. If you notice, he doesn't talk loud. He is very careful about the words he uses in front of media. Very, very soft spoken person. And such a soft spoken person, nobody will even believe that he is such a dangerous person. And one of the directors, one of the national award winning directors, recently had a very bad experience. He's a man, had a very bad
From the
experience
Malayalam film industry.
from the Malayalam film industry. He had a very bad experience, backlash from Shaji N Karun, and he was telling me like how we will not even believe because he seems such a nice guy, well spoken, soft spoken, and he waits for the right opportunity to give you a blow which you cannot recover from. And that has happened to men also, and especially because he sees women as kind of weaklings and very insignificant ones. For him, he doesn't I don't think he even thinks that uh, doing these things to women are bad. I don't think he is aware of the fact that he is doing wrong, because in his perspective, I think he thinks he's right, because that's the way it should be.
But how come a man
Yeah.
cannot be aware of what he is doing?
Because that's
Being
his
in a position.
principles. Probably in his principles, because otherwise, I mean, wouldn't he have at least 1% of realization after so many people have gone through a lot of things? I mean, after hearing a lot of other stories, I understood that what he has done to Nila is nothing, because there are much more graver damages he has already done to other people. um, and I'm sure, but again, people don't have the courage to talk about it. Even when I spoke about Shaji and Karun, when I mentioned his name in the articles, even other women who are supporting this movement, they are scared to share that story. They are scared to comment or like or talk about it in public, because he's a dangerous guy. I mean, that's kind of, and he is a favorite of the party, the ministers. So he knows he's going to get away with it. And there are many violations of human rights which he has done and which has been reported, um, not by me, by other women. There were cases against him in Human Rights Commission, but he gets away because he's a prominent filmmaker. He has political power. He has, all the networking required to help him out of any of the allegations. So he escapes from all that, and they were very graver issues, but he escapes, and even now,
Be confident now.
um, very very confidently he escapes from all that allegation. And my concern is, again, if such a person is put in the chairman in the chair of uh, a conclave which the government is calling, I don't have any hope in this entire process. Whatever the WCC has fought for, whatever a lot of women have endured in the past, that's going to get wasted if a person like Shaji and Karun is going to be in charge of the conclave. And he's already the chairman of the new cinema policy, which has happened a little a while ago, actually. Before, he's already in that position, and he is holding the position of chairman of KSFDC, and he's not. I don't think he's doing any justice to it. But again, like, if the government wants a rubber stamp, if the government wants some old Pragadhanaya Samvidayagan, then I think it serves a purpose. But for the development of the cinema, because it stands for Kerala State Film Development Corporation, right? It's not destruction. So ultimately, what is being done is that a lot of fund corruptions. A lot of fund are deviated to case of DC's thing, and nobody questions it because it is an autonomous corporation, is what they say. Because the government, I don't know the legality and the procedure of it, but I got to know that it's an autonomous body and it's not directly under the government, is what they're saying. I don't know about it, but nobody questions it. A lot of, I mean, crores and crores of fund is being mishandled without being questioned. And in Nila's case, I'm 100% sure there has been corruption, and nobody even gave a fund distribution of how Nila's work for the production of Nila.
Here, I'm skeptical about a couple of things in there because the Hema Commission report to 90% speaks about the issues faced by the women artists, mostly 90%. But here, what you have been facing is not just you as a women filmmaker. No, you were even triggered or against by women, not just the men in the group. And again, men in the industry were faced a lot of issues from this chairperson named Shaji N Karun. So my question is like, where do these filmmakers, so this is no more of just a pay disparity of verbal / physical abusement. No, this is more about gender sensitivity. We can talk more about it, I think, in that aspect as well. So what do you think, or how do you think this can taken forward? Because conclave might happen, we don't know. And even if this conclave is happening, how these filmmakers who have faced issues, I'm not talking about just the women filmmakers, but the men you were mentioning about before, how are you guys planning to go ahead? Because as you mentioned, no, if this is the way, there is nothing, no positive result will be coming your ways. But so how do you plan further to go about it?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But as you rightly said, it's much more than being a man or a woman, because it's very important. Over the decades of in the industry, what I have understood is that they have managed to have a group of, or a set of women who are kind of in alignment with the system, who are okay with it, and women who are okay not to have an opinion, who are okay to have a secondary life, and they themselves are convinced of the fact that, okay, we are women and this is our limit, and this is how it should be. There are a group of women whom I have seen, and very surprisingly, a lot of women who, they have this double standard also, who talk very progressively about women, and who are in alignment with the system. Because, okay, Shaji Etan, we cannot say anything against him, or to so and so Etan, we have to be submissive to these men, but they talk a lot of progressive things in the other things. And there is also another segment of women whom I have met. See, they need work, okay? So when they need work, they know that the power center or the authority lies in X, Y, and Z men. And they're okay with it. They're okay to please the men, to be in the good books of the men, to get more work. And for me, it's nothing like that. I mean, I don't care about being in the good books of any of these men. I have always loved cinema. I've always loved narration. And I don't think that any industry can be in the hands of a couple of men or women, for that matter. Stories will be told. And for me, many of the people who worked in my movie were men, youngsters. And I have promised, I have faith in them, because they don't see me as a woman. When I am working in the set, nobody sees me as a woman filmmaker. They see me as a filmmaker. They see me as a captain, and they don't question me because I'm a woman. And I don't feel awkward among these men either. So I have faith in them, because it's a totally new generation. I feel it's a totally new kind of perspective which they have. They don't see me as a woman, and I think that's a positive thing, which might probably take time to cleanse. but it is very important that this cleansing which is happening now, the calling out of issues needs to be done now as it is happening now. Because otherwise, when these youngsters get old, they probably they're going to follow the same path. I don't know. So I have faith in them, is what I feel. And many of these issues, these toilet issues, even men face that. I mean, the other day I was having a conversation with one of the technicians, one of the one important person. So they were saying like many of the production, it happens like 18 hours continuously. They have to work and they have hardly like 3 or 4 hours to sleep. And the next day by 5:30, 6:30, the cab comes and they have to go. So I was telling like at least the toilet needs, you guys don't have to worry is what I thought. But they said, okay, for urinating, it's true. We can adjust. But what about the other thing? We also need a space. And even they don't get that kind of a space is what they said. Like they said, they don't get uh, even for men. So it becomes a problem for even for men. And I don't know how it's going to be solved. And at least these conversations, I think it's going to, because he was telling me it's so good that it's a man who told me this. It's so good that Hema committee report is bringing out these issues. At least now the production will not ask us to go, find a space somehow and go. So they go to the petrol pump, and I mean, it is an industry where crores of money is being spent. Crores. I mean, it's a multi-crore business, and it's so difficult. It's so pathetic to understand that people who capture these images, capture the sound and image and of these multi-crore movies, has to find their own toilets and run to find petrol pumps, and it's very difficult actually.
So when these kind of allegations come out, as we all can see, it's a Me Too explosion that is happening in the industry right now. Day after day, some or the other woman is coming out and speaking up courageously. That is there. But to everyone, people ask one thing: why you guys didn't move legally at that time? And what happened? May I know from your side what happened at that
I
time?
did.
Mm.
I did. I gave a written complaint to the minister, because when I was telling him these are the issues which we face, he said we cannot take an action if you don't give a written letter. So I gave a written letter, 7-page document to the minister's office, and multiple other pages. I mean, multiple other petitions were filed after that. I went directly to the minister's office. I went and met Shaji N. And it was handed over, the case was handed over to the principal secretary, and I believe that she has done very sensibly, handled it very sensibly also. But nothing goes beyond that. I mean, no investigation goes after that. Nila was released, and that's the end of it. And then it is a kind of a
Doesn't speak much.
gaslighting. Sorry?
He doesn't speak further to you, like how he wants to go.
No,
Nothing.
nothing. I mean, no action item comes. The only thing that came out of it is that Nila was kind of uh, silenced. It was taken out. It didn't, I mean, they could tear it out. That's what happened. So that is why people don't talk about it. People don't take the courage to go to they don't have the courage to go give any formal complaints, because they're going to be backlash. There is going to be impact for each and every action. But I thought about it. I took time and I thought about it. I was not able to sleep. I was not able to do anything. I was in a very difficult situation, and I didn't want to take a very impulsive, emotional decision. I gave it time. I took time. I thought about it, and this is what I wanted to do. I was ready to face the consequences, because sleeping is very important. Being in harmony with your own conscience is very, very important. So I knew that it is going to be sidelined in the state award. I knew that it is going to be taken out from IFFK. I knew that in every space which Shaji N Karun had influence in, it would be, it would have an impact. I knew about it, but I'm able to sleep in peace. I am able to speak from my heart even now. I don't have to fear, and that's very, very important for me. And Nila, I'll make sure that it is not going to be my last movie. It was my first movie, but Shaji N Karun has told a lot of people, is what I got to know, that Indu will not do another movie in the industry, and that's not going to happen. And that takes a lot of courage. And I'm sure that Nila will not be my movie, my last movie, and that is something, that's the least thing which I can do. And there are at least a couple of people who are not in alignment with the kind of mafia or whatever it is called, created by a bunch of men and a bunch of favorable women. No, movie will exist. Stories will be told as long as there is a camera, and as long as there is a powerful story, there will be movies happening. And it might not get released. They can block it from the festivals. But after 50 years, Nila will be here. After 50 years, whatever movies I'm going to make will be here, and I'm totally confident about it.
Beautiful. One last question, Indu. So, do you think after all these incidents that happen, even from the government, to some extent, is the government also masking themselves from all this by just giving a conclave?
Yeah, it is again, if you look at it, the past 10 years, around 10 years of the government we have in Kerala, we have had a lot of fancy names coming up. I don't even remember a lot of them, but we have well marketed events. But I don't know what is the outcome of it. We had, we have crores of rupees spent for fanciful events and fanciful these kind of names, Conclave, and these are new names that come up. They're bringing up all that, but I don't know if it's going to be effective. I want to tell you about the C-Space OTT, which the government came up with, spending a lot of money. But if you look at it, it doesn't work. I mean, all the movies produced by KSFDC and a lot of other movies are also in the C-Space OTT. See, when you talk about it, see, the government of Kerala has launched an OTT. We have a huge program for it. There is media attention, and nationally also, people will think that okay, something is happening in Kerala. But does this OTT work? Does its space work? That nobody cares about it. We have to pay 75 rupees to watch a movie, and if you take a toilet break in between and come back to watch it, you are asked to pay 75 rupees again. So this is something which I had asked background. So I know that none of these, any of these products, it has to be properly tested before launching. I told the government, I spoke to the minister's office also, are you going to test it properly before launching it? And they said, again, Shaji N Karun is taking care of it and he knows everything about it. And I didn't even have that space to suggest that it needs to be properly tested before launching. And these are all for the namesake. AI cameras, again, that came up during the time of this government. What is happening now? There are bird nests, crows upon these AI cameras. It's not working again, right? And there was a cultural meet which I had invitation for. It was again something like this conclave. It was done in a convention center. It was done in a huge convention center with very prominent people from the industry participating. But it was the intention of that meeting was to discuss about the future plans in the cultural segment of Kerala. I forgot the name of it. It had a very fanciful name. That event had a very fanciful name. We were all given roses. We were all given a kit, notepad, and everything when we entered. It was a huge event. People from all parts of Kerala were participating. But only thing is that we did not have the right to ask any questions. It was a um, pre-planned program. A couple of people were selected with predefined questions. And then what is the point in having that? They could have just had these people, handpicked people in a conference room and had this thing. And it is all media hype is what I feel. Like they get a lot of attention. When you see these things from outside Kerala, it might look like, oh wow, the government is doing so much. And what is the outcome of it? Nobody cares it, because there is always another thing to run behind. Even after this whole discussion of Hema committee, I don't know for how long we'll have the discussion and conversation going on, but there will be something else. There will be a rain, there will be a natural calamity, there will be something else happening, and people will go behind it, dropping the whole topic and dropping the whole conversation down. And then we will not have that voice to question. So that has been happening in Kerala for the past 10 years, and nobody is there to question. And so I think that is again what is happening here. And they, in front of the media, in front of even when you go personally and talk to them, they understand. They talk to us as if, you know, they empower us. I mean, you get goosebumps listening to what they say. But what is the outcome of it? What is going to happen? I don't know, and we are yet to see. That's what I feel about the whole hype that's going on. Yeah.
And then I think again this will go on, not just about the report or the Hema Commission report or whatever, but all the disparities that we are discussing, we'll continue discussing. And since we have the time crunch, we have to stop it here. But I hope you got a proper time and space to open up.
Yeah.
And hopefully this will reach the needed people and the concerned people. Let's see. And as I always say this, that the issues that we are seeing right from the Malayalam film industry is a developing story. And stay tuned to our channel to what's happening around. Thank you so much, Indu, for your time. Nice.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.